Hello, and welcome back to Prospecting on Purpose. If you have been listening to this show for a while, you may have noticed that we took a unintentional hiatus for about a year. I went quiet, like really quiet. And the reason behind this and the short answer is because I was overwhelmed. Business has been awesome. I can't wait to share some updates with you, but really something had to give. And unfortunately, my sweet baby angel podcast was what had to take a pause. But in the meantime, I have learned a lot about how to handle overwhelm. So in this episode, we're going to go through 8 tips, 8 strategies to handle seasons of busyness and seasons of overwhelm. And by the end of the episode, you're going to understand what kind of overwhelm you're actually in, if you have to drop a ball, if something's got to give, which ball to drop, and then how to come back from a season like this one without burning the whole thing down. So if you have ever found yourself staring at a calendar that doesn't have a single open block on it, if your phone ringing all the time is driving you nuts, if you're wondering what's happened to your free time and your sanity, please stick with me because this one is for you. So just to give you a little bit of quick context here, I've been building my business, Mermaid International, for almost 4 years, and time is flying. Without getting into the weeds too much, the last 12 months were really the busiest of my career and my business, and this is in the best way. I have amazing clients. My travel schedule was and is very busy, which can make scheduling guests really challenging. Recording high quality content and audio on the road is not easy. And then when you finally start being able to pay yourself, there's all sorts of things I've had to learn with my business, government agencies, payroll, workers' comp, insurance, employer tax, payer portals, business insurance, data privacy insurance, just so many things that I'm navigating for the first time. And if you were to ask me or throw those problems on me 4 years ago, I would have said, yes, please sign me up. I'll take all of it. And now when you're getting to that point, it's, what has to drop? What has to drop? And so just to be clear, I'm not complaining. Everything that's happened is a blessing. It's been what I envisioned. It's what I've been working towards. But I was juggling a lot. And, alongside personal life, health, relationships, all the regular stuff that was already on the plate, something had to give. And the podcast is what had to give. But what I'm excited about is that inspired this episode. And this is going to be actually our first tip. So that's the context. I didn't fall off the face of the earth. I didn't lose interest. I just got busy. And in that process, I learned a lot of things about handling overwhelm that I wish I had known a year and a half ago. So that's what we're getting into today, 8 tips. This first tip that we're going to get into, I did not come up with it. I read about it in an article, and the original credit goes to Brian Dyson, who was the former CEO of Coca-Cola. And in 1991, he gave a commencement speech at Georgia Tech, and he closed with this concept of the 5 balls of life. So imagine your life is just this juggling act, and you have all these balls in the air at any given moment. You have work, family, health, friends, your spirituality, or faith. And the trick is, as you're juggling all these balls, not all of these balls are made of the same material. Some of them are made of rubber, and some of them are made of glass. And the rubber ones, if you have to drop them, they bounce, they come back. The glass balls, if you drop one of those, they crack, sometimes they shatter. Even if you can pick them up and glue them back together, they're never quite the same. So when you're juggling all of these different things, and this impacts every single one of us, we're going to drop the ball at some point. And the question is not if, it's usually when I'm going to drop the ball. So when you're going to drop something, the question is, which one are you willing to drop? And if you must drop a ball, you need to make sure that it's a rubber one. In my case, when I was looking at the work I had on my plate, the client work, the workshops, the speaking, the teams I'm working with, my family, health stuff, prepping for some of my personal goals, the podcast ended up being a rubber ball. And I knew that if I set it down for a season, I could pick it back up again and it would bounce. And so here we are, it bounced, and I'm so grateful that you're here with me. So tip 1 is to just figure out which things are glass balls and which things are rubber balls, and make sure you protect the glass. Tip 2. So this is more of a diagnostic step, but before you can do anything about overwhelm, you have to figure out what type of overwhelm you're actually in. So there's 2 buckets here. The first bucket is situational overwhelm. So this is a heavy season. Your launch is in 3 weeks. Your project's wrapping in a month. Your in-laws are visiting soon. You have 3 weeks of back-to-back travel. whatever's going on, there's a light at the end of the tunnel that you can see. So if I just make it through this period of busyness, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's temporary. So the strategy here is hunker down, ask for grace, set boundaries, get to the finish line, and make sure you build in time to recover. The second bucket is a little bit more delicate, and this is this concept of like constant overwhelm. This is when you cannot see the finish line. Every week looks like last week. The to-do list never feels empty. You're not heading towards anything, you're just running. This one is very different because no amount of hunkering down is going to fix it. So constant overwhelm is a signal that something structural needs to change. Maybe you need to hire help personally or professionally. Maybe you need to drop something. Maybe you need professional support in some factor or medical support. Maybe your business is growing and the way that you've operated it has outgrown. Maybe you're trying to find a new job, or you need to find a new job and you're in this constant state of burnout. So the first question you want to ask is there a light at the end of the tunnel, or am I just living in the tunnel? In my case, it was a little bit of both. So the rest of the tips will support both, but sometimes just identifying which type of overwhelm it is and giving a name to it is going to help you navigate the path through it. This next tip, tip 3, we've talked about it on the show before, is this concept of a brain dump. So this is more of a tactical tip out of this bunch. You can do it whenever, but we have to get the things out of our brain. Because if we don't, then this is where we're waking up in the middle of the night thinking, oh my gosh, I forgot to email that person. Oh my gosh, I forgot to do this. Oh my gosh, I have to do this by tomorrow. I mean, we've all been there. And it's heavy, right? And so we want to get these things out of our brain so that we can use our brain for other stuff like recovering and prepping for the next season of busyness. So just sit down for 20 minutes with a notebook or a document, write down every single thing you're trying to keep in the air, personal, professional, health, relational, the dentist appointment you keep meaning to make, anything. And you can do this pen to paper, of course, but there are also all sorts of tools. You can use an app like Todoist is very popular. That's Todoist. My company started using Notion to keep track of tasks. There's all sorts of project management softwares. It can be old school pen and paper, which sometimes helps me to physically write it out. One tool I've been using that is really helpful is an app called Whisperflow for your desktop or your phone, and it's pretty amazing. Basically, download it on your computer. It allows you to double click the function key on your computer or press and hold, and you just ramble your thoughts, ramble what you have to do, ramble what you need to type out. And it's going to clean that up and make it in a voice to text, but in a really clean, formatted way. It's not jumbled and concise. So sometimes I just open a Google Doc, rattle everything off, sort it as a list, use AI to help me prioritize. And then once you see it, you can sort it. So this is where, as you're looking at this list, you're identifying what's a glass ball, what's a rubber ball. And then you're also identifying what's just a season of life, situational versus constant overwhelm. And so we're not going to go into too many more productivity tips in this episode. We can save that for another day, but we want to focus on calming the immediate overwhelm in front of us, and getting things out of your brain is a huge, huge release valve. So that's why it made the cut for this episode. Tip number 4 is to protect your non-negotiables. And by non-negotiables, I mean the things that refill you, the things that you cannot cut. You must make time for it. And when overwhelm hits us, the very first things to come off our calendar are the things that keep us well. The workout, the walk, the 8 hours of sleep, the dinner with your best friend, sitting with your kids and listening to their day, the Sunday morning journal and coffee ritual, even the vacation. We treat those as rubber balls. The bouncy stuff, the I'll get back to it later stuff, and then we sacrifice them first because they don't have a deadline attached to them. They're the easiest things to sacrifice. I am very guilty of this. I'm still guilty of this. Oh, I have so much to do. I'm not going to go on my 6 a.m. walk. I'm just going to start working. Well, then that walk never happens because I didn't protect it. So we need to remind ourselves that these are glass balls. Your health is a glass ball. Your spirit is a glass ball. The closest relationships are a glass ball. They just don't shove themselves in your face the way a work deadline does. So that's why they're easy to cut. So the move here is to really identify those non-negotiables, show up for them, put them on the calendar, and treat them as something that you cannot miss. And this is how you actually figure out what your non-negotiables are. You want to pay attention to 2 things: what is energizing you and what is draining you. I'll tell you a quick story that happened earlier this year, and it was a good reminder. So earlier this year, February 2026, I had planned and organized a big trip to New York and New Jersey. And there were 19 people flying in for this trip on a Sunday. And the day that everyone was supposed to travel to New York, the city was hit with the biggest blizzard that they had in the past decade. So every flight got canceled. The whole logistics of the trip went sideways. The 6 people who did make it to New York, we were all stranded in a hotel together for 3 days. The hotel staff just had to stay at the hotel too because they couldn't get home. The whole thing was a really intense 3 days. And later that week, I was supposed to rent a car and go visit some friends in Pennsylvania. A couple of my friends had babies, some old coworkers I hadn't seen in forever. And by that part of the week, when that part of the trip rolled around, I was exhausted and I just wanted to cancel. But I don't love canceling on people. The plans are ready. My reservations were ready. So I just told myself, just go. You'll have fun when you get there. And I have to tell you, I was so energized after seeing my friends I hadn't caught up with in a while. I was able to meet their babies. I was able to sit on their couch and laugh for hours. I didn't think about work. I didn't talk about work. I know it meant a lot to them that I took the effort to get to them and see them when they have young children and they couldn't do the same. So one of the things that was really interesting is I noticed afterwards, I did not come home from that part of the trip more tired. I actually came back recharged and really energized despite having lived through one of the more chaotic weeks of the year. And it really clicked for me then that time with my friends is something that's a non-negotiable for me. It fills up my cup. It's something that is important because it energizes me. So that's something I have to actively protect because that becomes fuel to get through the season of overwhelm. So this is part of your work. You need to start paying attention. Notice what's energizing you and notice what's draining you. And so the things that energize you are the non-negotiables. We protect that time. The things that drain you, those are the things that we want to talk about in our next tip 5. You have heard this before. You've heard it from me. You hear it ad nauseum, but you cannot pour from an empty cup. It's true. You're going to show up as a softer, healthier, more fulfilled person in your life and your work if you protect those non-negotiables. So for the things that drain us, we're going to go to step 5, which is find out what you can eliminate, outsource, or delay. Look at your week ahead. Look at your brain dump. Identify what things are draining you. What things do you avoid doing because you don't want to? What things do you just feel like you're bad at? What are the things you could outsource to someone? What are the things you could just take off your plate entirely? One question I ask myself is, what can I do to eliminate stress in this immediate moment? And this could look all sorts of ways. It could be a walk. It could be hanging with a friend. I'll share some of the things that really helped me in particular. Like one thing I wasn't expecting, I signed up for a meal delivery service. I was really resistant to do this because I like cooking. I've never been attracted to those prepped meal kits. But for this season of life, traveling, not spending mental energy, planning my groceries, finding time to go to the store and buy them, or even shopping them online, it was a little too much for me. So I got a meal delivery service. I'm using Factor. I'm really impressed with it. It's super easy. It's given me a lot of time back. The second small example is I'm changing the way I travel. I know this might cause controversy with people, but I love checking a bag. I like my big bag. I pack what I actually need. I don't have to stress about squeezing everything into a teeny tiny carry-on. I can bring my protein shaker and my sandals for my plantar fasciitis walking around the hotel and my steamer and my hairdryer. I like my stuff and I don't have to stress about the weight limits or getting it in the overhead bin space, or if I need to buy a sweater when I'm there or bring home swag or product from the work trip. I have room in my bag. So I know this is silly, but this tiny little shift has resulted in a huge return. And I don't really care if I look like a diva when I show up with a big suitcase because that helps me. It eliminates stress. Another thing I did, this might not be for everyone, but I did give up drinking alcohol. That happened December 2024. I had 3 major clients hit at the same time. I had a Fortune 500 client, my first large enterprise client with a $1 billion firm, and my first international client. And I was so overwhelmed that I wouldn't be able to deliver. And I was having anxiety. What if I get sick when I'm traveling and I'm going to be there for a training? What if I'm sick? I need to stay healthy. So alcohol was just the easiest sacrifice at that time to get my time back and protect my immunity system. And it's been a great resource for helping me manage stress. I can do another episode about that later. But for me, it was one of the bigger things that have helped me continue to grow and show up in the highest caliber for my clients. And the last thing I did, this is a big one. I brought on a new team member. His name is Ermin. Hi, Ermin. I got so lucky with finding Ermin. He has a background in operations and marketing, and those are two areas I really needed support in. So he's really been able to serve as a Swiss Army knife for me. And it's been interesting because we can identify the things that I am just not good at. And nobody's good at everything. We all know this, but Ermin helps me with the things that I'm not good at. And he and I are laying the foundations for what's next for the next level of my business, because there's a lot of goals, a lot of clients to serve. We're just getting started, but I needed Ermin to help me outsource that. And I outsource a lot of things. I have an awesome business coach named Raul. I have a branding person and web developer. Her name's Karima. My dad helps me with my QuickBooks and my taxes and invoices and filing expenses. So I'm grateful for my dad, Tim. And I know that outsourcing costs money. I get it. But when you think about the things that you can eliminate if they drain you, and you put that reclaimed energy into parts of your life or work or business that only you can do, then I can go out and make more money, or I can stay in my zone of genius and best serve my clients. And that money and that income and that shift in energy helps pay for support, helps pay for a meal service. And it's just a good reminder that you're not supposed to be doing all of this all on your own. So think about, what can you delegate? What can you eliminate? What can you drop? What can you outsource? And take it from there. Our tip 6 is, if you do have to drop a ball, it's going to happen. It's totally okay. This is something people miss, myself included. We want to make sure that we communicate before you drop the ball. So here's what I mean. Let's say you've identified that this task is a rubber ball. Project, friend's birthday, trip, something's a rubber ball. Whatever you know what it is, you may have to drop it. You've made the peace with it. However, the thing that prevents a rubber ball from turning into a glass ball is how you handle the drop. So if you accidentally ghost a client or a customer, if you don't return an email, or if you forgot, if you just disappeared without a heads up, now you've damaged the relationship. And so it's really important to be mindful of that. And I think that's something that I have learned in this experience is I had a lot of anxiety because I didn't tell the podcast listeners where I went. And so if I could go back in time and do it different, I might have said, hey, listeners, I'm taking a season of the show off because the business is in a season that needs my full attention. I'll be back. But I didn't do that. And so for my longtime listeners and my supportive fans, I apologize. I truly apologize for that. And I hope it doesn't happen again, but it might, if we may have to take another hiatus. But the next time it does, I know I need to communicate that ahead of time. So dropping a ball doesn't always damage the relationship. Silence damages the relationship. Not being aware or fixing it can damage the relationship, but sometimes it's just you just have to drop a ball and give yourself grace when it happens. So this is really where the heart-centric piece of my show and my business and how I teach sales is coming in. Relationships are everything. We do our best to nurture them and maintain them and apologize if you unintentionally do wrong. But really the integrity of how you drop the ball is what determines if it stays rubber or whether it shatters. So our tip 6 is just communicate before you have to drop something. Ask for the extra time, ask for the extension, say no if you have to say no. Tip 7 is to build your roster, ask for help, build the bench of people that are there to help you. It's a little bit related to the outsourcing tasks, but this one's about your people or the humans that you call in when things are hard. Overwhelm thrives in isolation. And when you're spinning, the very last thing you want to do, or that you feel like you have time for, is to call a friend or schedule a session with your coach or therapist or take up a mentor for coffee. It feels like one more ball you're trying to add in the rotation, but this is one of the things that actually gets you out of this season of Overwhelm the fastest, is calling on the people that you need to lean on to support when you're having a hard time. This could be a mentor who's been there for you, a peer who's running a business at a similar stage, coach, therapist, a friend who lets you vent without trying to fix it, maybe your faith community, your parents, your partner. The names on that roster are going to look different for everybody, but you need to build the bench before you need to call in the favors. So do not wait until you're drowning to find your people. Find them on a normal Tuesday when nothing's on fire. Show up for them, fill their bank account. And then when the fire does start for you, you have someone to call. So this really ties into the lessons we talk about on the show and the concept of ABAV, always be adding value. If you are constantly adding value to the people in your life, when you do need to call in for help or a favor, then you have deposits in the bank that you can withdraw from. No one is supposed to go through this life alone. Supporting one another during good times and bad times is really the epitome of the human experience, and people want to help you when you're struggling. So remember that and ask for help when you need it. And if people offer you help, take them up on the offer. If you want more of this, episode 79, Why Mentorship Matters, 10 Tips to Finding the Right Mentor, might be a good additional episode for you to listen to. And then to wrap us up, our final tip 8, is to just hold both things at once, because I think this might be one of the most important things, is to really just understand that if you're in a season of overwhelm because good things are happening, make sure you're holding that gratitude for the good along with the hard at the same time. If you find yourself in a season of overwhelm because bad things are happening, try to look for the lessons you can pull from this. What are you going to learn that's going to make you stronger coming out of the other side? How is this situation serving you right now, good or bad? And it's okay to recognize that things can be exhausting, things can be overwhelming. It might require you to step away from something you love or something that's important, and trust that when you pick it back up, the other side is going to be okay coming through it. I have to trust that my audience, my podcast audience, would forgive me if I took a break and be happy that the show is back on the air. So both can be true at the same time. We don't have to pick one. We can perform gratitude and still not pretend that it's hard. So we don't have to wallow in the hard and forget what's happening. In many cases, oftentimes the thing that's making us overwhelmed is something that we prayed for years ago or that we asked for years ago. So it's just good sometimes to zoom out and reflect on that, because the most powerful tool we have in our personal lives and our professional lives is to hold gratitude and reality at the same time. They do not cancel each other out. They make us stronger. Episode 48 goes into more details on embodying gratitude and how it shapes your personal and professional life. It's been a really huge tool for me. Other tools outside of gratitude could be taking deep breaths, going on a walk, repeating mantras. One mantra that works really well for me during seasons of busyness is, I always get everything done. So give yourself grace. Understand and recognize that all of this is temporary. You're going to come through the other side stronger and more well-rounded and more fulfilled. That's part of the human experience. So just to wrap it up, we have tip 1, identify if they're glass balls or rubber balls. Then tip 2, we want to understand if the situation we're in is situational overwhelm or seasonal overwhelm and adjust accordingly. We want to make sure that we are brain dumping things and getting it out of our head, because that's just going to help you spiral if you don't do that. We need to protect our non-negotiables. We all know this. Put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. We want to outsource the things that drain us, find creative ways to eliminate stress in that moment. And in some cases, it might just be saying no to things. We want to communicate before the ball drops. We want to build our support roster. And then we want to hold that overwhelm and those lessons and gratitude that come with the overwhelm, even if it doesn't feel like it in that moment. Find reasons to understand where is the good in the situation that I'm going through. That wraps up our episode, 8 tips to handle overwhelm. If this was useful to you, please share it with a friend or colleague who you know may be in this season of overwhelm. Feel free to send me a note too. I am actively in it with you all the time, so I'd be happy to get back to you. I am so thrilled to be back on the air for Prospecting on Purpose. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.